and what I get back here is jerky kind of video. So it says excellent connection though. So here we are, and we are going to dive into our next messages, messengers, and medicine in this masterclass series. So I am Akasha, Nan Akasha, welcome. And if you would like to join my list, my community, we would love to have you. Go to nanakasha.com. And if you want to check out everything that we have, lots of meditations, private sessions, classes, and we have our retreat coming up in just a week. So a week from today, we will be in the Caribbean. I do live on the beach, but we're going to a different beach. And we're going to be right next to the dolphins on the beach in the full moon, working, kissing, healing with the dolphins, doing cacao ceremonies in sacred caves, going to pyramids. It's going to be epic. It's amazing. It's so much fun to do these because I plan them and then I go out and put them together, and then I tell you guys about them. And then as we get closer, I'm not just doing logistic work, I'm, like contacting the condo and so on, like, is this ready and da-da-da, and when do we come? And, making sure everything that's arranged, because it's a lot, is ready. It's an energetic thing. So what I'm teaching you is that everything is energy. It's talking all the time. Everything has a different personality. You can call it medicine, you can call it personality, but if you take the blue pill, you will have a different experience than if you take the red pill. And that's true for, pharmaceuticals. That's true for spiritual ideas, like the concept of take the blue pill and leave your reality, unplug from the matrix. You're no longer controlled by what everyone else thinks. That's kind of what we're doing. And take the red pill. No, I can't handle change, so on. So medicine, remember, we did the second show in this series is about what is medicine? What do we mean by this word? And we look a little bit at the traditional ideas of medicine. What does it mean in the definitions? And then we look at energy medicine, soul medicine, and the concept that everything holds medicine. Everything holds a frequency, and it has an impact on things around it. And depending on your affinity for it or your connection to that energy, doesn't have to be something that's good for your soul, right? You may attract people who are very critical because it's part of your energetic makeup. In your mind, you may have thoughts, beliefs, in your identity. You may hold identities that you're not good enough. These are common things and really common for me most of my life. And then you will, that's what you're radiating out. And then you reflect or attract people who will exhibit this behavior, let's just say. So what we're doing is discovering who we are, not blaming the world and getting caught up in all the dramas and opinions around us, but recognizing that a sacred life is the fun life, is the delicious life, is the pleasurable life, is the life that gives you joyful delight in your soul. I'm so excited. We have a new guide. I have a new guide. So if you were with us yesterday, we were playing with elementals and we were playing with the magical realms. And there's just so much in every one of these categories. I wanted to give you a little taste of all the different potential places you might be receiving messages from. You might not realize that you love unicorns and you have, little stuffed unicorns in your house or whatever. And you just think it's cute. This holds medicine. A unicorn has a specific vibration. It has a specific feeling to it. And then everybody relates to it differently. So some people think, my dad would look at it and just not even see it. He'd be like, oh yeah, a little kid's toy. Silly thing. I look at it and it's pure magic. It's radiating magic and beauty and purity and freedom. And being a Sagittarius, I relate to the horse aspect and the freedom and the strength aspect. And then there's the magical aspect and on and on. So medicine is a multidimensional thing. It has many, 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 many things. My beautiful soulmate, Chris, is one of the most just truly one of the most amazing beings I've ever met. I've never seen a soul like this. I've never felt a heart like this. He is always, 99.999% of the time, peaceful, calm, loving. And and you know, he's had to go through his own things too. So he's not repressing versus being peaceful, right? There's different ways of, well, I'm just quiet, but I'm angry, right? We want to clear our energies and make sure that our motivation and the energy that we're walking in our lives with is energy that we want to be reflected back in our lives. I want a job. Do you want that job to be full of fear? Are you going after that job from desperation? Are you saying, I can't do I can't go on a retreat, I can't go here, I can't do that until I get the job because I will probably never get a job? I mean, come on, be real. All right, sit back, pull your little fear baby out of you and say, listen, of course I'm going to get a job and I'm going to be like the rest of my life. No one will ever employ me. It's just not a possibility. So don't let the fears take over. Let the messages from all of these realms we've been talking about. You are a part of the Earth star. You are a part of the Earth star environment, the biosphere. It's the above, the below, the within, it's your body, and then you are a soul. That soul is a divine energy, but it's highly designed. So if you can let go and start to say, I love this, I love unicorns. Okay, so anyway, we had a little unicorn come yesterday, a little teeny tiny one like this big, and it was dancing around. It had, you know, a rainbow mane and fur or something here, and it was so tiny, and it was down there saying, I'm joyful delight, I'm joyful delight, I'm joyful delight, with the little hooves were hitting, and it was like little magic fairy dust or something was coming up. I mean, it's absolutely delightful and wonderful to me because I'm at a point in my life and my spiritual path that I know it was real. However, there was a time in my life that I would have been like, oh, that's so cute, but it's not real. And so I'm silly and I won't tell certain people, or I said it to my kids and we enjoyed it because we were all in the same vibration or whatever. So that's the fun thing. And we had been talking about joyful delight. The elementals were telling us this is the guidance of a really good way of guiding your system. So the issue is, why don't we hear the messages? Why don't we just walk through our lives and go, oh, why am I suddenly feeling really, really scared or really depressed, or doing, you know, some physical thing is coming back maybe, or I have neck and back challenges that I'm working through for many, many decades here now. And they have information, they hold codes, they hold messages, they hold medicine. And the medicine, if it is restricting you and causing you illness, is medicine. It's just harming you. Remember, all energy can harm or heal. You can dial the frequency of whatever it is you're interacting, and you can have too much of something and it can harm you, and you can have too little of something and it can harm you, and you can have every version in between. Okay, so while you are here, start to realize that you are medicine to the world, and that you cannot stop putting your vibration out every day in every way, with your words, with your thoughts, with your emails, with your actions, with your inactions, with the way that you think or don't think, or prioritize or do not prioritize things in your life. So if you are not prioritizing your spiritual growth, without going into a huge lesson, the structure that you had to create in order to be here, okay, is phenomenal, and it's enormous. Okay, you go out at least a mile wide. Your energy body, your light body looks like that UFO shape. You know, you're a sphere in the middle, you're radiating out this way, and then it tapers off towards the edges. Now, within that, you have layers and layers and layers. You have chakras and subtle bodies and pillars of light and this moving and meridians and on and on. And all of those are bigger than your conscious or your physical body, okay? The physical body is a tiny little center, and then layers and layers and layers and layers and layers, you know, three-dimensional, 360 degrees. Come on, start coming into spherical consciousness. Don't get stuck in linear time. Now that's funny because we're going to talk about past lives. So this was who is this talking? Fairies. Okay, let's see what fairies, is there a specific fairy message right now? So the fairies is saying that if you keep ignoring yourself and then wishing your life was different, this is suffering. Yeah, and suffering is something that you carry you don't walk through and leave behind. You keep carrying it with you. And when you carry it with you, you then give it more of the energy. And the more energy that you give it, the more it appears in your reality to reinforce this. And they're showing you're walking in a circle. They're showing like they're watching us beat a path, like wear a path down in a circle because of this logic. And if you're not in, well, I know we're not in a circle, we're in a sphere. I mean, we're in a sphere, but we're in a spiral. Always are moving up. You may do this because you are eternal, because you always return, because all cycles go through this. That's why the serpent is such a powerful guide. Go up, go down, go back, go forth, shed that shit, no good for you anymore. Let yourself grow and expand. Then you shed that. And this is who we are. So let's see here. Yes, thank you. So many butterflies out right now. It's a magic time outside. I really appreciate all of you playing with me because this has been so much fun. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Sylvia. Oh, Sylvia. Hi, honey. I was thinking about you the other day. And we had this snow. We had like, oh no, that was a private session. It made me think of you because a wren came. It was a soul retrieval session I did yesterday. I feel like I'm just in other altered worlds a lot right now, but it was the snow, just that pure white beautiful snow everywhere around this little wren, the bird, and it made me think of you. And I have a friend, I have a beautiful friend and client coming to the retreat next week from Montana, and she's been to 3 other retreats, and I haven't seen her in like 4 years, so I'm super excited. Okay, so so they feel like they're telling us that it's so simple not simple to do, simple to understand. Really? Okay, this is interesting because I think often it's the other way around. It's very simple to realize that you are projecting your reality, that what you radiate, and that if you don't clean up what you have within, if you don't prioritize what you spend your time on, if you don't just say, oh, I need to create a new habit, and you lay a little you just lay out a few little things and repeat them a few times, then we all come in and we're like around and we're helping and we're whipping up the energy and we're bringing things in. But when you beat a path in a circle and you suffer, the energy's down in and you don't see us, and we can't play with joyful delight. Oh, how wonderful. So look at the fairy card we got. These are new and they're in Spanish. So let's see how good my Spanish is getting. The domestic dragon. Communication between species, familiars, animals, familiares, animal and guardian animals. Oh my gosh, it's so perfect for what we're doing. So it's this beautiful fairy, butterfly fairy, and she's holding this small, beautiful red dragon, and he has a red spiral around her wrist, and she also has something duplicating that energy, that pattern, but it's more like a silk cord around her ankle. I'll show it to you in a sec. And something's hanging off the ankle that then shines in an opening in the tree that looks like stars behind it. And down here, I'm not sure what this flower is. It's exotic. It's white and lavender. And we have a bit of a, not quite Celtic, but a bit of a Celtic feeling here. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. So the domestic dragon. This is, wow, thank you. This is exactly what we're talking about, right? Communication between species, animal familiars, and guardian animals. The number is 42, so that's a 6. El dragón doméstico. Oh my goodness, isn't she beautiful? And I'll try to zoom in, see if you can see this adorable little dragon. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we had a little domestic dragon? So the message, thank you, is that if we get our, I want to say, shit together, like they were saying, like, stop suffering, stop going in a circle, stop realizing it basically, it's that, no, you don't like that. Okay. I was going to say the world around us is an illusion, but they were like, yeah, but everything's an illusion. So what do we care? What it matters? Okay, good. So let's dive into today. And we thank you. So we're going to put this here on our altar, and we're going to thank that, and we're going to call, where's my dragon? I'm going to put it over here by my dragon, and we're going to call our domestic dragons in and ask for assistance in clearing our abilities to communicate with the divine, other species, the guardian animals, and our animal familiars. So speaking of animal familiars, I have now officially acquired 2. I was pretty committed to not having any more domestic animals in my life, and 3 cats showed up. 1 got adopted, and the other 2 are now officially staying here with us. Ishel is a little girl, and Shana, which means fairy in Mayan, and Ishel is a Mayan goddess, is the mother. And she's a Bengal and a tabby, so she's a jungle leopard, which I love because I live in the jungle where the jaguars are. She's a jungle leopard from Asia, mixed with a tabby and Abyssinian. She has a very exotic long neck. So they are wonderful, and I'll share about them. But it just said animal familiars, and I thought, well, I hadn't even thought of that term in eons. And I thought, well, they kind of are. So I have something fun to tell you today, that we're going to add one more show, because technically this is our last show. And remember that when you subscribe here, and get notifications, you always hear when we go live, and you also have the ability to go back and watch these. Okay, these are free master classes, and I provide a lot of these because we're moving fast. Everybody needs to be able to go, wait a minute, what's happening to me? Where can I access this information? And so there's a playlist just for these. There's a playlist just for the dolphin healing ones we've done, and so on and so forth, okay? So here you can just breathe in all of our messengers that are here, the crystal, the dragonfly, the dolphin, the flower of life, the Caribbean Ocean, and the temple that this is from, the ancient temple. And so today we're on day 7, and technically this was the last day. And we're going to talk about spiritual mentors through time and past lives as messengers that carry messages and medicine for you. These are insanely powerful, okay? Now, all new fun just came through this morning. I've been feeling a little bit tickled about this, but I am getting ready to go to my retreat next week. However, they said Monday night, what we're going to do is do messages and medicine from the messengers, and you come, and I'm going to do personal readings for you from whatever messengers want to come. So I'm sure we'll open and activate with the temple. We'll call in all of these beautiful realms that we've been working with. We'll see who shows up. We'll get a message. I'm sure I love to be in the moment and channel in the moment. It's, to me, the #1 best thing, especially then when you combine it by going to a temple or kissing a dolphin or something other thing. So if you are interested in the retreats, they are $200 off either next week or December. And all you have to do is reach out to me. Go ahead and take a look over at retreat. Send an email over to ASST@nanakasha.com, and or reach out to me here or on Facebook or whatever. I don't look at Facebook a lot, but we'll catch up with you. And especially if you want to come next week. I just talked to someone yesterday who is trying to come next week. This happens. A lot of people finally hear the message as it gets closer. And so we are here to welcome you. This will be the last year that we do these retreats this way. So they're small, they're intimate. We combine 3 half days with dolphins, healing, kissing, touching, meditations, play. We're going to do energy work on ourselves and them. We're going to learn how to do heart-to-heart, third eye activations. We're going to work with the manatees too. Oh my God, I love them. And we're going to be right on the beach. We're going to do some Watsu, which is very healing. This is all about love, love and healing, love and healing. We're going to have 2 cacao ceremonies in 2 different sacred places, temples, caves, all of that. So I combined the magic in the land, the magic with the culture here, the magic with people who I love and trust that do very powerful, beautiful medicine, and the dolphins and the waters, and then my work. Every day I lead you through an activation. So please come and join us. And this one today is kind of an unknown topic, right? This is a bit like maybe you've had an experience of past lives. We call them past lives. Just be aware that I use the term solely because it's what everybody knows. Everybody knows the term past lives. However, if you want to get technical, there's no such thing as past or future. Everything already exists. It either exists in the Akasha because it has happened and it was imprinted there, and you can travel there and you can do whatever you want there to, to go to other lives, to talk to spiritual mentors that you had in another life. That's another part of this topic. And those spiritual mentors from other lives, and these aren't all on Earth, some lives in other planets and other times and spaces and all of that, they're all in the Akasha, and the Akashic records, you might have heard of it. And the Akasha is everything, all the matter. It's the sky, it's black matter, it's whatever you want to term you prefer, more scientific or a particular lineage. Everybody has a different term for it because we really don't know how to describe this kind of stuff, right? We really are limited in our language to describe these subtle realms and these expanded experiences, but we're having more and more common experiences, so there's more and more information in the Akasha for you to access. And these other lives you have, they already exist. So we consider them past lives because very common that you go to medieval times, or a time as a slave in the Romans, or in ancient Greece, I was an oracle at Delphi, and I'm sure I had many other lives, but Native Americans, I've been, anywhere, anytime. Those are all potential healing medicine for you. Very, very healing medicine, okay? Now, spiritual mentors come through, and I'm really blessed because I've been on my spiritual path for nearly 40 years now because life happens, right? And I'm thrilled because I've been through lots of shit and lots of wonderful stuff and lots of pain and all of that, like we all do. That's why we're here. We're here to play the hero in our lives. And through all of that, it's what forces you to change. It's what forces you to say, I don't like that. I want this. I'm no longer putting up with this. I'm not holding myself back. So you came in with a soul plan. That plan included wounds, included agreements that you made, soul contracts, the karmic knots. I see them in many different ways in your light body. They could be in the mental field. They could be in the emotional field. They could be in the chakras. Lots of stuff lives in the sacral, and so on and so forth. So what happens is that you came into this life knowing that this evolution was going to happen, and you came into this life agreeing with other specific lives in your soul that you would help each other, that you were both saying, yep, whatever happened to us has an overarching thing of never feeling good enough, never working all the time, but never fully receiving or enjoying what you receive, always assuming it's going to be taken away from you, and suddenly out of the blue, someone will attack you and take you and blame you and put you back in prison, and you will suffer again. I'm just sharing one of my patterns that I have thankfully discovered, unraveled, shed, and still comes up now and then a little bit. Recently, we had some good purging this year. And between the eclipses and the cats coming to heal me, there's been a lot of really good stuff going. So what I know now is that we're just in a cycle. You go up and down, you shed, you grow, you sleep, you don't feel good, you feel good. You just walk through that, but you don't make it mean anything. And you call on the mentors, the guides, you call on the things you resonate with, you call on the parts of you that maybe you've never spoken to, you don't even know that you have a connection to, and you say, I'm ready, I surrender. I am ready and willing and open and receptive to receive the guidance that's optimal for me, and I give up trying to control. And that's what the fairies are trying to tell us. They're saying, give up trying to control. All right, give up trying to yeah, you're getting sucked in like a vortex to all the dramas and stories in the world. It's a wonderful world to live in. There's a bazillion different stories you can jump into, but are they helping you? Are they healing you? Are they uplifting you? Are they expanding you? Are they bringing you more peace, more prosperity, more self-love? Are they making you more aware of the magic in every moment? We did the solstice fairy celebration the other day, and all the way for about a day and a half around the world, people were telling me they saw it later because of their time zone, and that they watched it in the morning. Lots of people in England and Europe watched it in the morning before they went to work. And they were like, that was the most delightful thing. I was the best thing to start my day. I feel light. I feel happy. I noticed nature, spirits. Everything was shining. Everything was beautiful. What if you did that every day? Then you would have the medicine to change your life so fast. How hard would it be to pull you out of that into being grumpy and blaming and guilt again? Well, the pattern's pretty core, so it can do it. But the more you do this, the more you feel, the more you shift, the more you connect to these higher frequencies, and you know and you trust that the medicine and the message is here that you need in any moment. And become that heroine. Be part of that magical story where you're about to die and fall off the cliff, and the giant eagle swoops down and picks you up, and you majestically fly off into the sunset, saved and free. And now you know, you completed your tasks, and you come back and you get to go and take on the powers that you were promised in this life. This is what we're doing. We're on a quest. All right. So all of your other lives, and particularly the ones that need to be completed, when we heal them now, in my work, we are not just talking to them, finding out what happened, looking at the agreement they made with themselves when they died, like, oh my gosh, or not remembering they died, so they're still carrying that energy. That's become a little more common. And, and then we have other lives where we had spiritual mentors, or we were spiritual mentors. So this year, a lot of my clients in private sessions have been asked to come back to universities and schools that they once took on this planet or other planets in other lives, that they need to remind, like to remember, or to mostly actually to be activated to the next level. Come back to the school, come back to the ashram, come back to the whatever it is. And those spiritual mentors could be calling you. They could be wanting to come through to you. And these are very common to come to 2, 3, 4 in the morning. If you're waking up at those times or having very powerful dreams. Okay, so think about this. If you have your own lives in your soul that you've already talked to, you've already planned that you're going to come together at some point in this life, and you're going to say, hey, let's both give it up. Let's both say, okay, this is done. We've played with this limitation, this fear, whatever it is, this decision we made. It's not safe to have money. It's not safe to be beautiful. It's not safe to be loved. You have to do everything for everyone else, whatever the agreement was, and you both get freed. Now you have new life force freed within your soul, and this is like your soul, your entire soul getting a rebirth, a reboot, a resurrection. That's what we're in the middle of. Everything's breaking down so we can reform. And now you can communicate with other parts of you. Well, what better guidance is there? Or other spiritual mentors you've had. Now, I work as a spiritual mentor, and often my clients will see me in their homes, in their dreams, next to their bed. They'll hear me, and I work through time and space. It's something I learned from one of my mystery teachers that I worked with for many, many years. And the thing that happens now is that you do not have to wait, okay? You can communicate and receive guidance from your own soul. The medicine is exactly what you need. You just have to start to unlock the power. You have to start working on that inner stuff, right? So that's what you need to, I hope you will. You may want to come to the Intuition Awakening Summer Camp. So it's for you if you feel called. You don't have to have any experience. You don't have to know what to do. You could don't even know what I'm talking about. If you feel called, perfect, jump in. That's called intuition and guidance, okay? And so have you ever remembered or encountered or experienced another life that you've lived? It's quite profound. In the beginning, many moons ago, I didn't believe in it because I was vaguely raised as a Lutheran, so I had the Christian mentality of death, just die and rot in the ground, basically, type of thing, and then supposedly you go to hell or here or whatever. So I kind of didn't have a lot of that in my life, so I just was like, really? I don't think that sounds too good to be true. You know, we get to come back. You know, nobody would let us do that. And however, when you experience authentically another life, not somebody telling you, although that could trigger things for you, but really experiencing one, like in one of my sessions, because I'm a shamanic journeyer and work on all these other levels. So we leave, we go, we travel, we do whatever your soul wants to show you. We go there. You experience it, and what happens is that you suddenly have an awakening. Beliefs change within you. Old ideas drop out of your cells. You can have healing accelerated because you understand. So for as long as they started realizing people went into past lives and hypnosis and different things like that, they've seen a surprising and didn't understand almost spontaneous healing of the challenge the person had for decades in therapy. So it's very common. I've had clients say, I don't believe in past lives. And I'm like, that's okay. And they're like, but I just experienced one and it was so real and it was so powerful. It's just shaking me. And I said, so what if, does it matter if it's a past life or not? What did it tell you? And they said, oh my gosh, it solved all my problems. It gave me the solution. So I had a client on a group call like this go through. I was sharing what's hypnosis, and I took people through a hypnosis process. And she contacted me right afterwards and had the most profound healing. She had come to me for money healing around all kinds of fears around money and other blocks. And she discovered in this, she went to a past life. She went to a life when she was very well educated, very wealthy in the medieval times, and her family and the local governmental people wanted her land, wanted her wealth, so they just threw her in jail, really horrible medieval jail, and eventually beheaded her. And for no trial, no nothing, they just wanted her stuff. So when she died, pretty depressed, horrible, alone death with her own people taking stuff from her, suffering a long time and having no justice. Nobody cared about her. They just wanted her stuff. She died and said, money equals killing. Why on earth would I ever want any again? So that comes with you into this life, and then you wonder, why can't I make money? Why can't I keep money? Whenever I make money, why does it go away? She was very fortunate in one sense, is that her natural thought in this life was a fear of money. She didn't want to touch it, see it, run a bank account. So she married a very controlling man who took all the money, her paycheck, which was pretty decent actually, but it went straight into the bank, and she didn't even have access to the bank. So she had created that fear within her, had created her reality, had created her marriage, had created her agreements with her in her marriage of her not having money, not having access to money. She tried to get other jobs. She tried to start businesses, all of that. And none of it changed until she realized from that past life, oh, money equals killing. If I have money, people will kill me, even people I trust, even people I love. I had another lady who had a beautiful life somewhere in Europe where she was very wealthy and she was the patroness of the town and everyone loved her and she loved them and she really helped the town a lot. And then the Nazis came to town. She buried her wealth and fled like a lot of people, and she died before she was able to go back. And her biggest problem in this life was not, oh, bad people come and I lost my money and it's not fair. It was, I was not able to take care of those people that I love. And it was the sadness and the grief of losing these people, losing the ability to help them, and someone taking her resources and also her having to hide. So these are, I could go on honestly for 3 days about past life stories and how profound they are in terms of recognizing, realizing what happened or why you feel a certain way. These are the things we're going to talk about in the summer camp. Okay, these topics here. And past lives and spiritual mentors will be one we will go way deeper into. We're going to go deeper into the elementals and nature spirits, magical realms, and all of the animals and everything we've been talking about. And of course, we can't cover every single topic. We're going to go have 7 activations. You're going to be working on clearing, cleansing, and upgrading your intuition, your light body, your ability to hear and receive, but not just for your selfish reasons, because the frequencies are raising. Everything is going up. You need to be able to handle the higher frequencies coming from the sun, handle the faster and faster things. And it doesn't mean you have to live a fast life. I live a very, very slow beach lifestyle, okay? And I spend time, hours every morning on the beach, in the water, talking to the land, talking to everything, watching the messages come in, feeling the medicine, doing my light body activation. That is always happening, and I'm surrounded by magic, okay? So it's a fun space. It's full of joy and people. Please contact me if you have questions. Go to the shop. You'll see everything there. There's 3 different payment plans. It's $222 off right now for the next week. And we start in the middle of July. As soon as you sign up, you're going to get some bonuses. And we're going to have a bonus that's super, super fun. But what I want you to do is what I've been talking about here is there's information for you. You are never alone. And for me, through some of the darkest times of my life, I felt alone. I felt I had nothing, no one, and I was just suffering. And the reality was there was so much love around me, so much support, so much medicine in the form of all of these different realms we've been talking about and parts of me. I could have allowed a part of me, another life of me that was a loving nurse or a beautiful mother or somebody who was, like a spiritual mentor who was so loving they cast a net of love around me. And I could have just asked for one of them to come in. Now, it's not that they won't come, it's that we have to be able to perceive them. And if you don't believe in it and you're not looking at it and you're focused on your pain, you can't expand and receive and look for what's coming in. So I want to help you shift that so that when you leave this summer camp, you're going to start a whole new life for this fall. You're going to get ready for the dragon year next year because it's going to be pretty wild. And you're not going to be afraid of it because you're going to know how to talk and look at what the guidance is there for you. Now, you're a very important part of the world. You're a very important part of the mission, and you have nonstop guidance, okay? The messages, whatever you need, the energy, the medicine, the inspiration, the person, the clue, whatever it is, it's all there. So the bonus is going to be a blast. We're going to spend 3 hours together, putting together meeting your spirit guide council. Could be any of the things we've talked about and something else. I've had the most unusual people come together, I do sessions with people to discover their money muse. This is another spirit guide that comes together, comes in a different form for everybody, that embodies an empowering frequency for the idea of money and replaces the mask, the fears. And most people get like a fairy godmother or a nice wise old sage man or grandfather or just these kind of comforting things. But one lady had a tree. Right? So it isn't, you're never limited. If you think you're doing it wrong, you're the one that's interrupting the flow. You're never doing it wrong. Just be there and accept it and keep clarifying it. You'll get better and better at deciphering the messages. So that's what I want to help you with in the Intuition Summer Camp. We're going to have a ton of fun. We're going to have a beautiful community. We're going to come to every class. We come together in sacred space. We create a circle. We activate a new part of us. And inside of this space, you're going to reconnect and flow back to your soul design, re-access some talents you maybe didn't know you had, and have a quantum leap to bring more of the intuitive guidance in. I want you to become who you are. It serves me too, for you to be yourself, because the more pieces of light we put back into the puzzle, the better we are. So playing and discovering yourself with all these different things, not just like when we do the classes where people learn how to do readings and the amazement on their face that they got it right. And when somebody's giving them feedback right there, it changes everything. It's an alchemical process that shifts the chemicals that have been oppressing people actually down to their cells and their brain. So today, I want to connect to other lives and other mentors, and I'm not sure if there's anything else that we need to see here. No, Okay, so let me come back onto the screen. And let's play. So if you're interested in the school, it's here at the shop, and you can also buy the Spirit Guide Council. So if you want to come on July 9th and you want to do that, buy that class, and then if you decide you want to join the course, we'll credit you for the class because it's a bonus. You also get the Awaken Your 360 Senses course, and if you haven't done that, you get that right away. I'm not sure if it's on the site. Okay, this little pink dolphin has been wanting to be in my hands. I'm always fascinated by who calls, how this is rearranged for everything we do, and I want to make sure that you can connect to the energies that are speaking. I also want to point out how Lakshmi here is glowing, and I kept getting distracted by, what is this? It was like there was something on fire because she was so bright. So Lakshmi, if you're not familiar with her, is a beautiful goddess, and she represents abundance and riches and wealth, spiritual and material, both in perfect balance. So she's shining her light on us today. Also, we have a few other people here for our journey into our past lives and to talk to our spiritual mentors. We have some turquoise, such an excellent medicine that turquoise has. I love it. I always have it around. Of course, it's great for communication, for the throat chakra, and many other things. I've got some gold obsidian here. The gold obsidian holds a little bit different energy than obsidian, but they all are protective. They help you see in the dark. They pull out shadow work, and they open your abilities. Look at that. There's a whole universe in there. And we have a beautiful new citrine. Citrine holds, I love citrine. Hello, my love. Citrine never changes its frequency for other people. Just there is medicine everybody should have. I got some new citrine, so I can offer some to my people at the retreat next week. And I got a beautiful little pillar. It's in the sun again. I put it in the sun for a few days, and I put it in salt, and then I do some ceremony work when I bring new crystals home. But the thing about citrine is you can see it holds the gold ray energy, which means sun energy, growth energy, self energy. It holds the gold ray in terms of wealth, prosperity, and having everything you need to create things. But the most important thing to me about citrine is the clarity that it holds, and that it never ever lowers its frequency regardless of what it's near. So how can you apply that to your life? Okay, good. Let's see here. We got the fairy. Let's see. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I want to look and see here what you guys are saying. Hi, Josie and Symphony. Isn't that a sweet little dragon? Oh my gosh. Hi, Lenore and Brittany. Hello, beautiful girl. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start to see what wants to come through. And beforehand, I was doing magic and creating the space. Is there any questions anybody has about working with your other lives or working with spiritual mentors that are from other lives? I'm going to have a sip if you don't mind. Okay, good. So what happens, okay, yes, I will. What happens when you encounter a past life? Like I said in the beginning, for me, I didn't really focus on it. And then when I had the experience of one, I kept trying to doubt it. And my doubt girl and all of those programs that say you can't, you shouldn't, you won't. We have a lot of programs, okay? Remember that you came with a lot of pains and wounds from other lives in your soul into this life on purpose, not to punish you, because you're that strong. You are that well designed that this life is going to be the life that you have the potential to transform it all. So you were like, okay, bring it on, baby. Let's make this happen. And you have the ability to take any pain in any life and release it. Now, you don't have to like turn that into a duty and an agenda. They're laughing. They're like, you know, they're afraid of like, do. This is who you're designed to be. Okay. So when other lives appear, there's a reason. All right. So it's fun to go, oh, what lives did I live? Oh, I was this and I was that and I was this and I that. And if you do get the inspiration that you were Joan of Arc or you were Mary Magdalene or you were someone well known, that's fine. There's many aspects to that and energy or entity, and there's other reasons for it. All that matters is what you're receiving. What's the energy? What's the message? Okay? You don't have to know all of it, and you don't want to be desperate to repeat certain spiritual experiences like, oh, that other day it was so much better than today. I used to do that to myself for years, and all you're doing is not accepting the moment. You're downgrading the moment. Oh, that's not very valuable. This wasn't very good. I used to do this a lot. Like if I went, oh, I went to the meditation gardens and all I did was feel peaceful and happy, and this little thing happened instead of like Paramahansa Yogananda stand next to me and this happened and all this stuff. So you've got to be in the flow, what's optimal for you. Maybe the messages are coming in subconsciously. So when we work with other lives, we don't go say, I need a life in medieval times that looks like this. We don't put the address in our GPS and look it up. We open ourselves to what is optimal for our highest good at this time. I know all my students get tired of hearing that, and then it just goes off in their head. That's what I want. And then that triggers our, what I call your intuitive network. So all of this energy structure to open up and bring you in whatever way it can. So just think that you're sitting here and you're inside of a box, and the box has a few cracks and the door is open a little bit, and there's a window that the shades pull partly over, but for the most part, there's no openings in the box. This is what your soul, your higher self, the fairies, your gods, goddesses, dolphins, crystals, whatever is trying to say, hey, I can help. Hey, remember you have this sitting next to you. Just go pick me up. Just go pick me up. I'll suck it out of you, you know? So you may not be that bad. I just want to illustrate how closed off we are to hearing the guidance, because we were told not to listen to voices, not to believe our inner self, that and often made fun of when we receive a message from a little tiny unicorn saying, I'm joyful delight. It's not something I'm going to be telling my parents, because they would just be like, at their age, they would just be like, pretend they didn't hear it. It wouldn't mean anything to them, and it's not important. So you don't have to tell everybody else either, right? And so as you drop your fear, as you drop your need to be good enough or to do it right or to remember or to work hard, if you drop the feelings of, I can never do that, or other people are better, all of these things, these are sealing it, then there's going to be more cracks. And whatever gets through to you, whatever synchronicities you see, whatever signs you see, whenever you feel like, wow, that cloud looks like it's sending me a message, or, you know, I feel like I'm supposed to go over there and talk to that person, or you walk in 7 nights in a row and there's an infomercial on that you wouldn't in your entire universe ever buy, and they want you to buy it, and it's one of the greatest things you ever did for your soul, but they had to show it to you 7 nights in a row. This is just not normal stuff. It's what we would call miracles or magic, but that's being in the flow. Okay, so come into a space where you open yourself, that the guidance within you is pretty awesome, right? So when you experience a past life, you don't need to, we often like to identify them in a fun way. That's okay, right? Like, ooh, I was a little princess or something. However, I've done so many sessions over the years, and I've seen so many other lives that it's almost mind-boggling the way that they come through. When I see one that's really beautiful, like a little girl with perfect little curls and a beautiful dress in a giant palace in France, you know, in the 1600s, it's like, oh, you're this beautiful little girl. And we might react to that, oh, that's wonderful. But why are we seeing that life? Not because everything is perfect, right? We're seeing that life because there was an issue, there was a challenge, there was a wisdom, there was something both that happened that broke the spirit or created a wound or created an energy that began to be held in, that limited, that pulled away, that created thoughts and beliefs that said, I can't do that, I shouldn't do this, right? And when that happens, the other side of that within the person is, it's not safe to, I'm never going to, right? And so this was a really interesting past life that came to assist my client. She was this beautiful little girl, and I can see vivid. I can see it right now, so vivid. And the visions that come through. This is why I suggest you develop your intuition. Just do it nonstop, because the things you can see, the things you can access, and you're just going to be able to do the things that are optimal for you. So don't worry about what I see, but use what I see and what the other people in class see, and as inspiration. Like, oh, I never knew that was possible. That's what I did. I had to see. You see what? I didn't even know that was possible. Then that opened a door inside of me, like, that person sees Mother Mary. That person saw, an owl spirit when I was in the sweat lodge. I didn't see anything. I was just full of fear, right? So these are, oh, look what's possible. Look what's possible. These are messages. And when you're around something, we tend to trigger, oh, I'm not good enough. That person's better. Instead of be like, ooh, thank you for showing me what's possible. That is very interesting. I think that's something I would like to be able to do. That most likely means that you have a life that can do it. So right now, we're very quickly moving through these other lives that need and want and have agreed to be healed. And when I mean healed, it doesn't mean we fix them. It means we see them, we acknowledge them, we understand what happened, we accept everything they went through and what the result was, what was the agreement, what was the contract afterwards, and how it's affected you or other lives in your soul in a not so positive way, a suffering way, a painful way. And yet within pain is a doorway. It's a doorway to peace. It's a doorway to freedom. It's a doorway to medicine. It's a doorway to healing. You cannot, the only way is through. Okay? Not out. If you want out of your life, you're just going to do it somewhere else. That's all. It's okay. You want to walk through and be with, because the depth of the medicine is inside of what you're experiencing. So when something profound happens in one of our classes, and it's happening for one student, and it's happening for me too, because the student is there with me, but everyone in there sees it, feels it, gets involved in the emotion, and it has an impact. It has a wave. And if you have any of that energy, if you have any of that pattern, and we all have common patterns, it will trigger you too. And what's so beautiful is when I see my clients, they can share, they can say, because they're in the class, this is hard, or this is difficult, or I had a breakdown, or I had a breakthrough, whatever it is. But the real beauty comes when you're like, this hurt, and I didn't know how to say it, I didn't know what to do. And you stand in that medicine, not to suffer, but to go to the center, to disconnect from the story. You are not the story. And these lives give us the opportunity to see them as separate from us, to feel them as part of us, and then to see what they went through. Then our logical mind says, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm afraid of money, right? No wonder. I was, beheaded and tortured and thrown in jail for no reason at all. That's just crazy. And it was done by people who were supposedly loved me? Well, in my logical brain now, I have a little medicine, because we can't just ignore that we have a left brain and a right brain. We have to take care of our source and our spirit and our intuition and trust it, but then we need to feed our other side of our brain. So what she was able to do is say, well, of course I didn't want to make more money. I was internally blocked to make more money, because not that she really believed that she was going to have her head chopped off in this life, right? However, it doesn't matter. When you've had your head chopped off, it's not the head chopping off is the problem, okay? We think it is. The problem is why? Were you betrayed? Did you trust someone, right? Did you do something that you now blame yourself for? These are the patterns. And when we move into this new reality after the next few years of breakdown, and we're starting to create and break down and create and break down. And then the last few years of the decade is going to be the empowering, the uppowering of the individual spiritual self. So when you sit with your medicine that comes, the kittens that came, I decided that I was trying to adopt them out, and I decided to get them fixed and spayed and checked by the vet and just make sure that everything was taken care of. And it triggered for me some of the most horrific past life experiences that I've had in a very long time. It was all about backstreet abortions and torture and prisons. And then I got a horrible double abscess under my tooth, and I had to go to the dentist, which I avoid at all costs, at the top of my list of torture. And it was that energy from a lot of lives that contained torture and imprisonment and death and just all this stuff. And the vet came here and did the surgery here in my little bodega. And so there was something about the energy. They were fine. They did such an excellent job. They're wonderful. They're healthy. Everything was perfect. It wasn't what happened to them. It's the healing they came to channel for me. And what happened, I could just feel bad, and then I could say, oh, something's purging, and then I could respect it. I could drink some tea. I could have a meditation, and then I could walk or swim in the ocean and just ask that it leave my body. However, when it starts to bring up night after night and week after week, and you go through an actual physical reaction, what does root mean? It means there's something in my root. There's something buried underneath inside of me I'm carrying. I can't carry that into the new reality. So it had to come up, and it had to appear, and it had to be painful, and it had to get my attention. All right. So the other lives that were in there or in here were working with me to trigger and bring up all that sludge and that pain. Now, you could go through a session where we actually talk to, go with that life. We walk through what happened, or they all unfold differently, or we go forward. So I want to give you another option. So you might have another life that you feel like you had. Often they're really fun. The life as a little girl was interesting because she was psychic. So she was born into was she born there? No, she was not born there. She was born to a servant on the manor. It was like a Versailles, okay, in France. It was huge in the 1600s. King Louis and all of that, and she had the little blue dress and everything. And she lived on the property as a daughter of one of the caretakers. And she was extremely psychic, and she was extremely tuned in. She talked to all of the nature spirits. She talked to the plants. She walked around these enormous gardens all the time. And of course, just making sure again. And of course, the people of the manor, the rich and wealthy noble people, became aware of her. So they took her and had her live in the house, and they gave her this gorgeous bedroom, looked like a royalty, and gorgeous clothes, and she was dressed perfectly and all of that, and she had this very, very blonde hair. So it looked like, wow. Our logical mind might say, ooh, what a cool life. I was a beautiful little girl, and I got to live in a palace. However, what happened is that she was kind of like all royalty, and people came to her and they wanted answers, and then they started sending her to people's homes, and all these different things happened until it didn't go well. And so it was the part that didn't go well, of course, is the reason we're seeing the life. So remember that you couldn't see a life where you were just joyful, you were just happy, you had such peace. I had a client once who saw that. It was an Italian peasant life. And it didn't look very fun at first. We were watching it, and he was working hard, and he was, having to carry the water and all the things we kind of think were hard. And then something about leaving home and coming back. And it was just this very peaceful domestic feeling. And in the end, a lot of the medicine was from reaccessing that peaceful feeling, that he didn't have to leave home to search and to accumulate and to consume. He was so peaceful at home in his own space. He came back to realize everything I love is here. I can be in the moment and be fulfilled, be savored. And that's what all of this is about. It's to show you that you're not lacking, that you have what you need, that you are surrounded with what you want. And it doesn't mean that you can't go to new places, try new classes, go to new whatever, travel. I love travel. I will never stop traveling. It's just not going to happen. I'm never going to be happy living in one town my whole life. However, I live in a teeny tiny little fishing village now. I'm an hour away from a major city, and I have little abarrotes and tiendas, but I don't have anything to get most of my shopping. So it's a completely different lifestyle that at one point in my life would never have worked for me. but the energies that I need now, the medicine that is perfect for me now is here. I called this sanctuary to me. I said, if there is a home, if there is a land that is sacred, that is a sanctuary, that is for me, that I am meant to bring my codes to, then call me. And all the path opened, and it was a journey, and I had no idea how it was going to happen. And that's how you move towards the things that call you, whether it's buying a house, getting a job, moving to a new country, going to a retreat. All right. So the other lives, I was talking about a life now. Oh, so the life that she had was coming up in that session because it was relevant to what was happening in her life right now. So that's just, I want to reemphasize that. And part of it is that you have the ability to connect with a life that is relevant in different ways. You might just sense it, or you might just have a knowing one day, or you might just suddenly have a deep fear. It just might be consumed by fear. You don't even know why. And it might be that life communicating with you, saying, oh, you know, I'm here, help me, or you're in a situation that's triggering my fear, or what, I don't know. There's different messages in medicine that come through, and again, goes back to how much you can receive, how developed are your intuitive pathways, how much time do you spend listening, how much are you willing to let go of all your negativity and take back your mind, take back your emotions, let the stories, even of your own life, have a little buffer, have your own sacred space here. And what a beautiful space to fill with all of these beautiful things. So now it came up because for her, she was wanting to reaccess her third eye and her intuitive gifts and her psychic and her clairaudience and her clairvoyance. And these are all the things we work on in my classes. We don't work on them as a circus show, okay? These are skills and part of you that must be developed, awakened up, and attuned, okay? They need to come back in. They need to get practice. They need to come back into your awareness as well as to get used. And then you need to be upgraded so that you can handle the energies that your soul is standing here saying you are ready for right now. All right. Another past life possibility is that I've had past lives come where there's a group. I had a guy and a lady last year, I think. It was really fascinating. There was a period of time, must have been the cosmic whatever was lined up at the time. There was a period of time that a lot of other lives were coming through in sessions that said, hey, guess what? We're going to work with you. And these might have been multiple past lives you agreed to for this soul, or they could be what we call spiritual mentors or allies. So maybe you had a life, this one guy had 3, I can't remember now exactly. They formed a sacred geometrical shape around him. Some of them were spiritual mentors. Some of them were other lives of his that they had worked with those mentors. So there was a connection, and they all had learned something that he was meant to remember and start to use now. Then they also wanted to start to work together through time and space. So they were reconnecting. Hey, we're here. Remember who we are. We did a bunch of energy work, light work, or whatever to connect them. And then they showed him, this is what we do when we're together. And he didn't even have to like go back to his manuals or go back to school. They showed that they stood in a sacred shape together. They started sending energy to each other through their hearts and other energy that they did. This is something they knew to do and was now what I call newly, now we're calling a destiny point, which is these little places that are in your soul blueprint makeup where dunk, time to connect. Suddenly you're doing real estate investing. I don't know why I'm doing that. Suddenly you become aware that you're a part of a group of life force or energy workers who are working with the Elohim or Metatron or nature spirits. I have a client who goes to places that she's called to all by herself to activate the magic there, I would call it, to activate the energies, and caves and lakes in the Midwest and different places. And she knows, she has a very deep knowing. She's developed her intuition to a point where when she gets the call, the message, through whatever messenger, whatever way it comes to her, the messenger might be a dream, it might be a movie, right? It might be one of these beings we're talking about. So messages come everywhere: synchronicities, signs, memories, symbols, visions, feelings, things that get your attention, right? And she goes, and then she knows that she's there for a reason. and she knows often when to go. One of the reasons I go to sacred places for solstice, equinoxes, full moons, and things like this is that they are power moments. They're a moment when all the energies are aligned. It's like a stage that everybody has put the perfect, rearranged all the props and the backdrop so that it's ready for you. It's ready for you exactly what you want, based on the energy of that time. So I don't try to go force my agenda. Well, I don't want to do the brightest Sunday. I want to do the darkest day. So I'm going to just do my thing instead of paying attention to that it's solstice, right? So that's what we want to break out of. Now, this destiny moments are the doorways open in these cosmic moments. The doorways open when you go on a retreat with me and you go to sacred place and we do an activation. The doorway open when you hear a message and you go sit by the tree outside, because you don't know why, but that's what you heard. I got rid of feeling silly about any of this a long time ago. You can definitely do it in a way that's comfortable for you. However, please pay attention. So spiritual mentors, those are other ways. Those come through both ways. Like I told you, spiritual mentors have come into a lot of sessions where starseed sessions sometimes, where they're like, this is a star that you went to school on and you learned a certain skill, and that skill is needed now in your soul blueprint, in your plan on the planet. It needs to start to come awake inside of you. It needs to start to become a part of you again. You're going to need it on your path, and you've already pre-planned that you needed this connection to this mentor that would come through at a particular time when you were ready. So the idea of the teacher appears when you're ready is so true. It's not some kind of mystical thing. It's that when you reach a certain point and you are ready and willing to do something that you were not willing to do before, if you're not willing to do your spiritual practice every day, if you're not willing to listen to the messages that are coming to you, then you're not ready for certain things to happen in your life. And some of them may still happen, and you're going to have to catch up, because that's a soul trigger that says, okay, you didn't get ready, so we're just going to smack you. You're going to get sick for a few days, and then you'll get up and you'll realize, oh, I've had a reboot. I've let go of something. I've purged. And whatever way it happens, it's always perfect. So, okay, I'm going to go dive into seeing what they have to. Good question. Let's see here. I love past life healing. It's powerful. It's so powerful. And I used to just be amazed at what happened just from people seeing, because I was being a hypnotherapist, and people who had nothing to do with spirituality were coming to me for things. And I never did like stop smoking. I learned how to do that stuff, but that wasn't interesting to me. There's all the inner work, of course, right? But yeah, it was like just knowing is like, oh, okay. It takes the confusion, it takes the guilt, it takes the pressure away. And remember, if you're all part of a soul and there's this other part of you or many parts of you that have a similar stress, and you all relieve that stress because finally the message got through. Like, we can't let this go until Brittany lets it go. So we got to get this message through, and Brittany gets it and she's like, oh, and she starts to just let go of that fear in her life. It frees those other parts of you too. Recently, I had an intuitive vision that I was a child slave in a past life. Then I was given realization of the energies that I still live in because of that life. Absolutely. You know, the things that we've seen with you, right, in the other intuitive classes, Brittany, is that possessive, right? There's a quality of possessiveness, and a slave is someone who's possessed, not possessed by a spirit, but is owned by someone else that doesn't have their papers of freedom, right? They don't have their choice. We have a lot of slave lives, a lot of servant lives, a lot of lives of privilege where we were limited, a lot of lives we were outcast, betrayed, beheaded, all those things, and they all can come together. It's only the relevant lives that are going to show up for you. So you know that that's relevant to think about. And the idea of a child is very relevant now. You have children. You are at an age where you're aware of how impactful what happened to you as a child was. And you are changing and awakening yourself, and that changes the entire dynamic of it. Are you going to free yourself to let that inner child, to let that child grow? And are you going to be able to access her powers, right? And then if anybody else has a past life, throw it up here. This is fun. Let's play with it. Then I was given a realization of the energies that, yeah. So we reflect things. It's very interesting. It might be super, super subtle, might have been a big deal when we were younger and not anymore. I spend a lot of my life never feeling good enough. And even after I kind of got rid of that, most of it, I still had habits and patterns that meant I kept having to reach out to people, or I had to keep chasing or working hard to be good enough. And then I discovered underneath that was the pattern that it didn't matter how long I worked hard enough. Talk about a slave. I was never going to get to receive, keep, and enjoy permanently the fruits of my labor. That's a slave pattern. So you can look for it in your mind. You can look for these patterns in your mind. Where do I feel like a slave? Where do I feel stuck? Where do I feel powerless? Where do I feel hopeless, helpless? Where do I feel shackled? Where do I feel tied down? Take the energetics of the idea of a slave. Then you look at the emotional side. How does it make you particularly feel emotional? But for all of us, emotionally, not many people left on the planet, thankfully, don't believe in slavery. We all know how horrific it is, even the concept of it. How could you think that you could do that? I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be owned anyone else. Have you ever given yourself permission to take back your freedom, to issue yourself freedom papers from all the times that you were a slave, for all the times that you agreed to play the slave in this life? Now, maybe you're not chained around the neck, being thrown a piece of bread and doing hard labor in the sun, but we can be a slave in many ways. You could be a slave to your job. You could be a slave to a rule. You could feel like you're a slave to someone else's. When we're children, we don't have power, we don't have money. We were basically slaves to other people. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Very, very nice, Brittany. You're gonna have some really beautiful medicine is coming from that, and a lot of amazing messages. And remember, we don't have to understand it with our brain. The message is a vibrational message. So these messages go into your mind. They go into your, they might go into your cells, and then later you start feeling a burning right here, and you're like, why am I burning? And then it fades later, and you may never know why, but it was part of that leaving or part of that information speaking, what came through earlier. You may hear words, you see a vision, you may understand what it means. It's going to unfold. That's one of the secrets, is letting it unfold. That whole obsidian is so beautiful. Stone loves turquoise and citrine. Yeah, I know. I'm surrounded by beautiful friends. I love them. Its energy interferes with my decision-making on an emotional level, aka emotional decision-making. Yeah, definitely. Well, for one, Brittany, look, when you have a past life, everybody, that comes in and says something like this, you see it, then you have to look at the messages on every level. So a child would grow up pretty fast as a slave. They don't have a lot of time to be fun and frolicking. They're filled with fear, and they're forced to not get to be a child, right? So that emotional maturity of a child is low, but also very high. How fast do you mature? How fast do you grow up when something gets serious? You read a story about an idyllic life in a family. Oh, and they're living in the countryside and playing and whatever, and the little child is 5 or 6, and then into town, through the countrysides come through these marauders, and they kill the parents in front of him and steal and burn the house down and run off and laugh at him. Okay, these are things that happened in our history. And so that child matures very fast. Doesn't mean that they have the emotional maturity until they experience it and what happens from that. But that's an interruption of a pattern. And many past lives will show a broken purpose. A purpose that was like, oh, my purpose was, that little girl's purpose was to become a psychic across Europe. She did. However, she ended up dying or killing herself, or something happened, I can't remember right now, because of the betrayal, the use of realizing that people who were fawning over her and thinking she was wonderful and showering her with stuff really didn't care about her or love her. They saw her as a thing. And eventually they turned against her, I think, because we would love healers and psychics and intuitives until somebody says they're bad, and then we go, oh, they did it, kill them, not me. Right? So yeah, that's a really powerful one. I need to retrain my mind, Destine says. Absolutely, and that's what we're doing. You don't go, oh, I'm going to take time off and go over here and retrain your mind. You do it on a daily basis. You do it little by little. You do it by taking a class and then implementing it. You do it by creating something in the morning, or when you start feeling a certain way, you say, I always stop. And then you stop and you breathe, or you pick up your obsidian and let it get sucked out of you. Okay, or you call on your fairy guides, or you pick up a card, or you go outside and you breathe, you weave with the sun and draw the energy down. There's something there always, okay? Release the negativity and bring in the good. Well, yes, what you want to do is say that you're releasing what's not optimal. So you receive what's optimal, you release what's not. Because your judgment of negative or good may have nothing to do with it, because the pain can be the cure. The pain can be the cure. The pain, the misery, the loss could be. You get one person says no, oh, okay, it's okay, you keep going. You get two people say no, you get a little frustrated, but you keep going. You have three people say no, four people say no, five people say no. You get 10 people in front of you crossing the road saying no. Now you're going to start to say, what the hell? And you're going to change what you're doing, what you're thinking. So sometimes the negativity has to get higher for us to pay attention. And that's what these lives are good for, because they already have the core energy that pokes us. Boop, boop. Sherry says, what kind of lifetime triggers the victim mindset? Struggle with fully releasing myself from it. Good. And Lenore said, yes, I found past life awareness to be very helpful. I would love a message from my higher aspects. Okay, good. So let's do a little bit here. Sherry, give me 1 second, please. My air conditioning isn't working, and I want to just step over here and find out why. We are in the summer here. So give me one moment and just start to relax, breathe, tune in. I've been talking a lot, triggering a lot. You might just close your eyes and notice what energy is going around you. What is this triggering in your field? You see or sense anything? There are a lot of fairies here. There's a lot of citrine here, a lot of little citrine energy beings bouncing around. Okay, give me 1 sec. I will be back. Okay. If you speak or channel, you know how dry your throat gets. So also wanted to share with you my e-shell. So I always wear an obsidian, always, 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 and forever, since my jungle possession. And this is e-shell. So, you know, I talk about her a lot. That she is the moon goddess. You see here, she's got her rabbit. She's got her snake on her head, showing that she's awakened. And this is her as a maiden. She has a lotus flower, so very similar to Egypt. And she's who I've named my house after. She's our patroness, and who I've named my new little baby kitten. So I changed to her today. I had the Hunabku, which was kind of like a yin-yang from Maya. And then before that, I had the jaguar for a very long time. And I'm excited because on my trip to the retreat, we're going to find some more. I always have several. My kids love them too. They like the plain ones. All right. So we're looking at past lives. So yes. So I created Sacred Space before we came in, as you know. But we're going to go ahead and do that together right now, since this is a masterclass. And what I want you to do is get the information, like we've been talking, we've been stirring ideas up, memories. You know, we're stirring the energy up. Now I want you to kind of come down. We're going to come out of our logical heads. We're going to look into these past lives of Sherry. What kind of lifetimes trigger a victim? So, a lot, a lot. So, of course, slave lifetimes would trigger a victim. Lifetimes where you've been blamed, any relationship from something that seems docile, like a parent criticizing you, blaming you, and in any way. But the biggest thing is anytime you have felt powerless. So here's the thing to define, Sherry. You struggle with releasing yourself from being the victim. There's many ways to go about it. You can feed your logical brain. Okay, now I have a lot of degrees and a lot of certifications and a lot of experience in multiple areas. I like research. I like science and medicine. I like spirituality, shamanism. So I've sacred scripture, mystery school. I've gone to all the aspects, and I like to blend them together. So I believe you need to feed both sides of your mind. So what you want to do is to say, okay, you're going to accept. You want to go to the state of acceptance, get the scale if you don't have it. It's in the shop and free. And the scale of consciousness, you see where you are. So victimhood would be a very good thing to research at the bottom of the scale. I'll take a second here and see if I can find the scale and show it to you. So what happens is that what is the emotion or feeling? What state are you in? What is the overriding feeling for you of that? Where does it show up in your life? Now, you probably know all this. If we were talking, you'd probably say, oh, well, you'd get on the call with me for a session, and you'd start saying, oh, well, you know, this happens, and I feel like this happens, and I feel like that. That keeps happening, and I'm struggling. So I want you to look at a few things. I'm going to teach you some intuitive reading skills. And these sound simple, but they're incredibly powerful. So this is advanced stuff. You want to look for the keywords that in what you say. And you don't want to edit what you say to be enlightened, okay? So this isn't manifesting speech. This is real. This is accepting exactly how you feel in the moment. This is the only way to get above the state of acceptance, which is where love and peace and joy and bliss and enlightenment and all the things that you want are, okay? So you have to go through acceptance. It's where you forgive, you know? It's just where all this stuff happens. So you are freed up. You take your power back. Your mind harmonizes with new solutions. Your emotional body lets go, forgives. You don't even have to do that. You start to transcend. That means effortlessly things are lighter. You see higher perspectives of it. You connect to your higher consciousness. All of these things start to come into view. So you're focused on the victimhood and how to get free from it. When you struggle to get free from something, all of your energy is going to what is holding you. That's being wound focused, just for an overarching word, right? That's okay. I want you to acknowledge your wound and accept your wound. And then I want you to go and open yourself up to defining what you're looking at. Struggle is a very difficult word. So you write down struggle and you think, where do I struggle? How do I struggle? Why do I perceive it as struggle? What does it feel like? Okay. That's an energy. It is speaking to you. It's a doorway that will open you to go in and perhaps find a past life that was not had struggle, but had the outcome of that life imprint struggle into your soul. And then that struggle, like I said, you put together with other lives that had that struggle, and you put it here into your current life blueprint. That's all this stuff means. So you're not stuck, you're not punished, you're not forever going to be in it, you didn't do anything wrong to get it, and you have to let go of it being fair or unfair, I want to be like them. Everybody else's story is only for inspiration. Let it go. Get interested in your own story. So first, you're going to want to go into that victim. You're going to want to go in that dark woods and say, hey, baby, tell me all about it. I create what I call an acceptance chamber. If you look at acceptance, okay, here I've got it. I'm going to show it to you. If you look at the state of acceptance, what's going to happen? This is good stuff, guys, so take notes. When you look at the state of acceptance and you realize this is where you take your power back, what you do is let go of struggle. You can't struggle and accept at the same time. It's not possible. So I've designed this scale, which was originally done by David Hawkins in the book Power versus Force. Very sciencey kind of book, but if you can find the chapter on the scale of consciousness, just reading that alone will change your life, did mine, and I've used this as a teaching tool ever since. And what we do is I changed it to look like water and sky, so beneath the ocean, because these lower states, these heavy states of consciousness are where you feel heavy. You don't have a lot of energy. It's just like being deep underwater. You can't hear. Everything is blurry. Everything is distorted. It's very difficult to move. It's an excellent representation intuitively of the types of energies. At shame, you find the people who take their lives are filled with this. Okay, this state, okay? They've decided to despise, oh, this is an old one. I don't like this. Excuse me for a minute. How funny. Okay, we're going to move now to, oh, my goodness me. Give me a second. It's funny because I've developed it over time, right? I've developed the scale over time. I have many versions of it, and we've changed it to match my teaching so that when we teach, we have a consistent language that you can start to get to know. Many people become so absolutely thrilled and enamored with the scale because of the profound insight it gives you. You can test where you are every day, before and after different things you do. Sorry, my computer is being very, very slow. It should appear here any second. We always do it. There it is. In the beginning, we test ourselves on the scale before we begin the class, before we start clearing, healing, activating. We want to know where we were, and then we test after an activation or after class. All right, this is better. All right. So the numbers don't really mean anything other than to give you the reference, and every level is very, very big. So for Sherry or anybody who has, and most of us do, some kind of a victim mentality, poor me, why always me, I'll never have, I can't. You want to write down, this is powerlessness, this is helplessness, and there's some level of you that has agreed to that. And so you want to look down here at the states that are under pride, under 175. The power states that bring you energy start at courage and up, and the energies beneath that are heavier and heavier. It's very, very difficult if you're in blame. Blame is guilt. It's the emotional state of guilt, whether you're blaming yourself or someone else. If it's in your mind constantly, that's struggle. Why won't they change? It's their fault. When do I get it? They took it from me. They betrayed me. And believe me, we have in this life and every other life so many reasons to be blaming. However, who wants to live down there? Your mind goes into evil thoughts. Your process, the environment that you live in, becomes destructive. At this level, you feel so much guilt, you don't feel worthy. So you let things go. You don't pay the bills. You you maybe get angry at somebody. You blame somebody, and then that destroys the relationship or the trust. Maybe you get fired because you blame someone, or someone blames you because you're blaming so much. You're carrying so much blame energy in your life and this life and other lives that you're attracting blame. Okay? And then the perspective in this state becomes vindictive. That means you see things, you think everybody is being vindictive towards you, and you start to feel different ways of wanting that. Now, this is so common because we always see this. You watch the news or anything, it's like this person did that, and that's the reason this happened. It's all their fault, and who's it to blame, and who do we sue, and who do we put in jail, and on and on. So, not that you don't want to find the system breakdown, right, of whatever's happening. However, if you're blaming anything outside of yourself, you're a victim. You're not holding your power, you're not taking your power back, and you have not decided that you are the creator of your life. That could be from a million other lives. I can guarantee you it's from some other lives. It could be from other lives, as well as the things that have happened in this life, which have all happened and aligned with those other lives and your plan for this life. So anything that you've been blaming, you don't want to then go into being upset and blaming yourself for being so stupid. Why didn't you do it? Right now you're blaming things and you've stuck in this all this time. Do you see how you're in a loop? You just keep going right back again, right back again. Maybe you've been depressed. That means your emotional body is in despair. That means your mind feels hopeless. When you feel hopeless, helpless, you have abdicated your throne. Okay? The environment around you, this is another level of qualities that could be in your victimhood makeup, in your identity, in your energy field, okay? These are just things that you hold in some form. You might call it a soul contract or a belief or an identity. They're all energy forms, all right? What we want to do is free ourselves from them, not blame them, not chop them off, not mash them, not hate them, because then we're back down at anger and hate. And being a victim means you're a victim to these lower states of consciousness. You are a victim to anxiety. You are a victim to feeling like you're punished or always wanting to be denied. You're a victim to being stuck. Look where enslavement is. It's at addiction, which is desire in the original chart. I like the word desire as a soul desire, so I changed it to addiction. This is really where you feel like you want something and your emotional body craves it. Maybe it's food, but maybe it's love. Maybe you never get enough love. You never get enough confirmation. Maybe you never have found your soulmate. Maybe you've never made enough money. And then you're disappointed. Your mind is disappointed. And this becomes a loop. I used to call it the desire disappointment loop. You want something, you crave it, you're disappointed in it, and then you go back into wanting it and craving it, and you're disappointed and you're stuck. And guess what? You're in the process of enslavement. You're stuck. You could be stuck emotionally, mentally, financially, in a relationship. There's all kinds of ways for these energies to express into your life, okay? You don't have to literally be stuck. But look what happens, your perspective, your view. You see and therefore then attract things that are denied. You feel like you're always denied. You never get what you want. You have unfulfilled desires at lower levels. You're denied over and over, and you feel like the universe denies you, and you never get consistent communication with your higher self, and you never have enough money, or you start to speak up, but then your husband or your father or your boss or whoever it is that's currently occupying that role for you of controlling you and telling you what to do and making you the victim is overriding you, and your old patterns of fear, of backing down, of withdrawing. Fear, look at fear. The process of fear is withdrawing. So if you allow other people in your life or your thoughts or people in your past, maybe your parents are still in your head, but they're not even in a body anymore, but the fear comes up, the anxiety comes up, you start thinking frightening thoughts. What if this happens? What if that happens? I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. Are you struggling? Are you stuck? 100%. And you withdraw. Maybe you stop speaking up. Maybe you stop asking for what you want. Maybe you stop talking to people. Maybe you stop believing you can have what you want. You can withdraw emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, in relationships, spiritually, and you can start to punish yourself. You can feel like you're being punished by God, by spirit, by the universe, by your higher self for not speaking to you, by your body, by getting sick again. Do you see how these states color how you receive, perceive, and experience something? And guess what? Where's the magic? The magic is inside of you, because you are the creator of your reality. You are here listening to me. You're learning about yourself. You're thinking about yourself. You're the observer. You're the witness. You are the higher self. You are the soul blueprint. You are the I am presence. You are the infinite field. You are everything you've been, and you're everything you could be. However, you've been disempowered, blamed, and you brought all this crap with you because you're a rockin', amazing soul star. So you're playing the victim, but it's only a role you're playing. So this is the kind of idea of how to use the scale, of how to look at what you're dealing with. The victim is important. If that's an important thing, like for Sherry, that's what's on her plate. That was what her soul is putting on her plate right now. Deal with this, because there's other good stuff coming and we need you through this. Good. So you're not being punished because you keep going back to it. You just haven't completed it. So where is it? Which of these feelings do you feel stuck in? Take a look at them and then start to accept them, because look at the beauty of this. Are you blaming yourself? Are you feeling hopeless? Do you feel frightened? Are you punishing yourself by not letting yourself have anything? Do you say, oh, I can't have that until this happens. I can't go on the retreat until I have all the money. I can't buy a house until this. I can't move and do what I want until that. Whatever it is, right? And then you get angry. Well, okay, get angry, man. Don't hurt anyone. Don't stay there very long, but it's a powerful state to be in when you've been wallowing around in blame and fear and shame and despair and powerlessness. So get angry. It's what I call rock climbing. Rock climb. Look up above you on the scale. I'm feeling in despair. I'm feeling condemned. Oh my God. When I went through this last few months where the cat showed up and the dental work and all that, it was like being condemned. I went right back down here into despair. I felt like I had been condemned again to go back to prison. I was never going to be free from suffering in my life, on and on and on and on. So you never know when these patterns are going to come up and talk. What you have to do is realize that, oh, goody, look what I found. And it doesn't mean I'm stuck here. It means it's talking to me. It's saying, here's what you do next. Just trust your soul for putting in front of you what you need to work on. And then never feel like it's a punishment. Just be like, okay, fine, I accept. Oh, goody, we're doing this again. I accept. I don't know what to do with this, or this is kind of frustrating. Whatever it is, accept how you're feeling. And then accept that you're stuck in a victimhood. And then accept that you're consumed with struggle. And then start to accept, where else am I struggling? What I don't even need to. And start to look at it. And guess what happens? Just by accepting it, you'll start rise up higher. You might not go all the way to acceptance, but once you do get there at some point, or moments in time, or during a meditation, you're going to go up and down the scale as you become a master of your emotions, your mind, as you become aware of energy. And underneath all of this is developing your intuition, developing your ability to see, sense, hear the messages, the communication, understand the energy, or at the very least, listen to it. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling terrible. Why am I forcing myself forward on my day? I'm going to have to just cancel these appointments. This is not going to work for anybody. Just because I have an appointment doesn't mean I have to show up. If everything in my energy field has just gone sideways, I would rather show up if it was optimal, in the right state. Perhaps you ask for 10 minutes or an hour. Perhaps you do something to honor yourself. You accept where you are, your emotional body starts to forgive. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. You do not have to work on forgiveness, and I give you permission, okay? What I really love about acceptance is your mind. Your mind goes out of misery and evilness and hopelessness and tragedy and frightening and disappointing and antagonistic and demanding and even feasible, I can do this, or satisfactory or hopeful. It goes into harmony. And to me, harmony is the full color spectrum. It's radiant rainbow frequency healing. You open your crown, your pineal, your lotus, your pine cone in your third eye, in your brain, all whatever you want to relate to it as, opens up. And now you have a channel to infinite amounts of messages that you can receive, places you can send, and guess what starts to happen around you? You transcend. You start to rise up, up, up. And the beauty is that you start to see through the perspective of compassion, not just others, not just the world, yourself, where you are, what you've been through. You won't be a victim anymore when you transcend, when you see everything with compassion, the people who hurt you, the people who betrayed you, how you hurt yourself, what you think you did right or wrong, what you feel like you've been denied. It doesn't matter what it was. When you change what you see, how you see the state you're seeing it from, now you're becoming a frequency master. Okay, and then you can look up here, up above. Acceptance is all the stuff that you want. Wisdom and love, abundance and serenity, gratitude and peace, reverence and happiness, flow and enlightenment and all the groovy yumminess that we all love. Okay, so that was it was a really great example of the kind of stuff we learn in the class. And then we take practical action, because I want you in action with the stuff, okay? In action. Now, with the scale, you know that you want to start to understand how to test your truth, pendulum, muscle testing, and different things. Of course, you're expanding your intuition, but I like to have a solid tool that I know in my back as a backup. So if I'm emotional in the moment and I'm not going to get a really clear intuitive message, or if I have to wait for that message to come through and then allow it to unfold, then I need another tool to tell my truth. Okay, but if you test where you are on the scale, we'll start to tell you a lot. Okay, let's see. How is that for y'all, for you guys, you dudes, you chicks? Okay. Had a past life where I had to run for my life. I created a new life. I had a child that we were slaughtered for what I had to run from. Felt such guilt for not saving my loved ones. That's so great. Thank you for sharing that, Sherry. It's an archetypical life. It's a great example of what I see. Some version of the story, okay, over and over and over. And it's that idea of somebody catching up to you, somebody doing something to you, somebody taking away your freedom, taking away your power, taking away your money, taking away your happiness, taking away your life, or those that you love. Those are deep experiences that create deep vows that become these deep difficult patterns within us that say, don't be rich, don't be happy, don't let people know you're psychic, all that stuff. It's not worth it. It will hurt. You will lose it. I just went through all of that like I was being burned at the stake again. And I've been through a lot of these, but as they come up, you want to accept them because then they free you, Destine, I seem to be dealing with what feels like a past life that has been bringing me down, hopeless and despair. Okay. Lenore said past life awareness. Okay. And ready for happiness and joy. What is that book? The book is called Power versus Force. It's by David Hawkins. There's probably videos out there. There's probably the chapter on the scale of consciousness, the vibrational scale of consciousness, I think he calls it, there. And he has other books. He's a little sciencey, but I enjoy that kind of stuff. And honestly, like I said, in the end, if you read that one chapter, it's profound. And in that chapter, you'll read where he explains that at the state of acceptance is where you take your power back. And I just stared at it and I went, what? I don't want to accept this. This isn't acceptable. I'm not accepting bad. I'm not accepting bad. I can do more. I can have better. I can change this. I thought acceptance was weakness, condoning, agreement, and giving up. It isn't. Okay, so I hope you enjoy that. I had to turn that down, so could not hear any more of the downer stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. You know, you want to also look at how you can allow that stuff to move through you, because it's through those ideas of this being bad or this being pain that you free from it, because you start to realize it doesn't have that power over you to drag you down, to hurt you, or to co-create unless you give it that name. Give it that power. Okay, so I'm going to see what comes through. We have Lenore and we have Destine here that we will see. We both want past life things. Hopeless and despair. So you saw hopeless and despair right there on the scale. So what I would recommend is you go into a meditation, you create a safe space, you create some cleansing things like some rosemary, copal, have things around you, create the protection space, ask to connect to your highest good, what's optimal for you at this time, and that you're ready to connect with whatever is communicating with you. This is all aligned only with your higher goods. You don't have to go into fear. Okay, that's why you need to come to a class and learn how to create your space, and then you'll know forever you can do this, okay? And you can get the energy cleanses. Go get those right now. I guide you through creating space, protected space around your house, around you, and all kinds of different ways of cleansing and clearing yourself. So you have this, let's see what we're talking about. Oh yeah, don't have to feel afraid, okay, of what's going to come in. And then look at that, because it's the pain that has the answer, okay? You don't go look for medicine to cure yourself until there's a problem. You don't go, oh, I need some medicine, give me something, give me a pill. Well, what's your problem? I don't have a problem. Okay, well, then come back when you do. So it's a process of growth. Something happens, it breaks something, and you go to look for a different way of doing it, how to heal it. You give it your attention, all right? And then as you go, oh, okay, this. So when you look at hopeless and despair, those are a doorway for you. Okay, the same way as I just talked about, hopeless and despair. So everybody, if you're watching, what is your key right now? What is the keyhole that's open for you? For Sherry, it was struggle and victim. For Destine, it's right? No, yeah. For Destine, it's the hopeless and despair, right? And so those are there, and it's okay to keep your frequency up, but if you ignore the disease long enough, it grows and spreads. All right, it goes from being in your emotional body as a fear to showing up as a tumor in your neck or something. So if you don't accept it, if you don't deal with it, now you have an issue. These are messages, okay? And they have medicine in them, and they may not be yummy. However, you take it a little bit at a time, or you come to someone like me, or you go do a meditation, or you sit with the fairies and ask for their help in understanding it, in diluting it to what you can handle. You don't have to know everything that happened. You don't have to re-experience the pain of everything that happened. But if you have a lot of fear of it, then you're still in trigger. You look at the scale and you say, okay, when I think of this, it takes me here. I had a lot of fear for a long time after my daughter died of going back into that pain, losing something and not being able to handle that depth of grief. I had a lot of fear after triggering a ton of past life fear. In the pyramid in Egypt, the first group I went to with my mystery school, not mine, I was in the mystery school, we were in the Great Pyramid alone with our group only, 2 days in a row for 4 hours each. So you can just imagine the amount of ascension that happens when you're doing that. And kabam, we blew out the power inside the pyramid on the Giza plateau. We blew out the police radios, we found out later. And they pump light in, they pump air into the pyramid, and it was all stopped. It stopped at a point about an hour into our 4 hours that it felt fantastic when the lights went out. I remember we're chanting, we're toning, the music, the whole room is vibrating, the realities are changing, we're moving through time and space. It's so hard to describe the things that happen in these kind of sacred places when you're allowed to do this kind of work. And it wasn't until we came back I remember when the power, when the light went out like that, and my inner self just felt like, boom, we were freed. And we were being told by our teacher, you're not letting go, you're not letting go, you're not letting go. And then Metatron came in and brought this big fan-like energy up beneath us, sort of like cutting us free. And the power, boom, went out. And the darkness came. My eyes were closed, of course, and I'm in an altered state. But the darkness was so welcome. It was like, oh. And then we came back to our bodies and we were streaming with sweat. We were pitch dark. We had no idea where to go, how to get out. And someone started having a panic attack, which gave me a panic attack, which then led to a very intense healing over the next week. Everywhere we went in Egypt, even the buses, even the little plane, I had profound claustrophobia, and it wasn't healed until I got to the Temple of Isis. I had to go to all those other places. I had to experience the fear because it was purging from my body. So, of course, I had carried it. However, if I kept carrying it, I couldn't have ascended. And I was there saying, I want to ascend. I want to go to the next level of my spiritual. I want to know all these mysteries. I'm here and I'm with this group of people and we're creating this vortex of energy and we're opening realities and we've all done the same work, just kind of, the way I teach in my work. We know we're safe. We're accessing this. And I'm like, no, I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm not holding back anymore. Bring it on. So I didn't know what was going to happen, and it was very, very intense. And then we got to the Temple of Isis. I had found a song, a musician traveled with us, a song to sing that could calm my fear and anxiety. And I'd have to breathe. I just had to learn to do all these different things to keep myself. And it wasn't going to go away. I was in Egypt. I was on this path. I was on this soul journey with my mentor who I'd worked with for years. I was with this group. We'd opened a portal through time and space. We were walking through the most stunning opportunity my soul might ever have. And so I wasn't going to back down from the fear, but it wasn't fun. Okay. And I didn't know many people at that time. So I was sort of a bit alone. People were friendly, but I wasn't like hanging out with my deep friends or anything yet. And I would sing the song. And the day we went to the Temple of Isis, which is now in the middle of the Nile, and you have to take these little boats, and we arranged to go out to be on the Temple of Isis for dawn, just our group, as the sun rose. And it was pitch dark. We reached the shore. We got in these little rowboats. We're silently moving through the mist on the water. It was so beyond mystical and magical and very Avalon, if you're familiar with that. We were moving through the worlds into a different time and space, into the temple, and I was singing the song to myself. I was breathing. I was dealing with all of the fear pouring through every cell. I could just feel it. It was just trying to drag me to the depths of hell. And we walked in off of the boats onto this very small island, which is just basically the temple, and down in front of me is the temple and the walkway to the temple and these pillars along here. And I immediately enter this other life. And this other life, it was several lives I experienced during that. We were guided to move through the temple and out to an outer open temple, big pillars, jutting out over the water, where we did our activation as our group activation and healing. We were then free to move the energies. People were dancing to the sun. There was nobody else on this island and in this temple but us. And I could see the other life, and I walked as the person in that other life, and I felt my feet touching the earth in that other life, and I became aware that that person didn't feel this fear. I was focused on Isis. I was calling, this is Isis, the divine, beautiful goddess of ancient Egypt, who embodies the divine mother, and not these terrorists and nonsense crap. And of course her energy was there. And of course, she came, and I had a whole thing later on where she appeared. She was about 2-3 stories tall at the back of the temple. I was watching this woman who was a dancer who had brought scarves, and she was dancing doing a dance, her offering to Isis, and in the temple with the sea around her. And it was just mesmerizing and beautiful. And I'm watching the energy as she moves, and I'm watching the energy radiate out of her heart. And I'd been doing this work for a long time, but it was new to a lot of it. I don't have the skills I do now, but I was watching, and then I just saw Isis appear, just very etheric, but like the whole body standing at the back corner of the temple. I had other personal experiences, but it was the realization that I walk in another body, in another time, touching earth, touching the sacredness. It felt real. I felt like I was in the body. I was seeing both the current 3D reality and the energetic reality of what it looked like, wow, back when it was whole, when it was used and painted and perfect. And I could feel and sense the energies that were present because they were doing sacred work with Isis there every day, that this was a priesthood, this was a temple, this was a place where that was the focus. So imagine the energy. Now the energy is still there, but when you go, it's in our reality, it's diluted. So if you happen to go somewhere that has a life that you were in there, you will have the opportunity to resonate with it, to connect with it like that, depending what you're doing. Because I had been doing spiritual work for 2 weeks or something by that point, or a week and a half, and had these huge, massive experiences and breakdowns and fear, and it was all going on. You're purging, and it's all coming out, and all the joy's coming in, and your mind's expanding at an accelerated rate, and you never thought things were possible. You start to see the light spheres in the temples after we did activations. It was doing, that's why I do the retreats I do, is because of that retreat and the other retreats that I did with that mystery school. And then I started to do my own in sacred places because the profundity of what happens. So, well, that was fun. Thank you, Isis. Thank you, my darling. I have many Ises around here. Okay, I had a clarity dream this morning, and I've had many past life awareness experiences, Lisa said, even know a handful of people in this life that I absolutely knew in other lives. Absolutely, right? That's part of the profundity of it is, oh, that makes sense as to why I'm like this. Oh, that makes sense why this relationship is like this. I had many past life realizations with my ex-husband, who I was married to for 25 years. I feel a holding back in my gut when I think of moving forward. Very good. Your release program is fantastic for releasing victimhood. Oh, hi, Amy. That's true. I always forget about that program. There is a course in the shop, you guys, that's called Released. And it is a series of processes and activation. We finished another program. Was it the Higher Self program, Amy? Where we finished a program in the fall, and it had been wonderful. It might have been Awaken Your Soul Star Awakening. I think maybe that's connecting to your higher self and your soul star chakra. And then all the stuff that had come forward was like, my God, we need to release all this. So we did another course, I think it was in December, right before the end of the year, to serve that purpose. So that is another really great one. Thank you. Thank you. That's a great idea. So, okay, good. So I've got the citrine decided to come forward for here. All right, let's go and see. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, Soul Star Awakening. So that's in there too. And that's, I think, eight classes and 8 process of entering your soul star chakra, connecting to your higher self, and how to work with your higher self, and how it's like a whole other reality in there, like a magic world that can alter into whatever you need. And yeah, that was fun. Oh, so much fun. Okay. It was fun. It's fun to think about all these other lives, and so he's saying other lives, handful of people you know. Yes. So when I came here, I had been to Chichen Itza, to Cancun several times in my life, but when I came here on my journey to start living around the world, and still here, I started to have past life memories at Mayan sites, ancient Mayan sites, site of Ixel's site of Xelha. I entered by myself with headphones on, really beautiful mystical music. I had been meditating in the car. Chris had to stay in the car, and so I walked in, nobody was there, and it was like I walked through a veil. And it was just like you see sort of like this, what was that? And then I looked around and things weren't really all that different, but it became a magical place, a fairy place to me. I remembered being a caretaker there, both after the ruins had become ruins and back a long time before that in another life when it was an active site to Ixel. Then we were on the top of Koba, which is so far the tallest Mayan pyramid. Unfortunately, they don't let you climb anymore. And I used to take people there for the equinox at dawn, and we'd get in early. Oh, so glad I had those experiences. It just makes me so sad we can't do that. So I was there before I started doing retreats. This was one of the reasons it triggered me and said, you need to start bringing people here, was I went there just to go there, and I walked all the way back in flip-flops, climbed it up, and sat down, and of course, other people were walking around, and I meditated and went into a past life with my soulmate, Chris, where we were Mayan brothers at this site. We were learning medicine, but also like spiritual, medicine and working with energies and moving between worlds and magical realms, that kind of stuff. We were like strong, 20-something brothers. We felt invincible like young men do. And we were so good at what we did. We were like the star students, so we were a little bit irreverent. And we used to go up to this temple at night, sneak, and we would move our hand, and the bricks would open, and we would enter the school. And there were these different classrooms and people doing things a little bit like Harry Potter, I guess, and we would practice, and we would, transfigure each other, or we would evaporate, or we would do things like that. And believe it or not, Chris was the wild one in that life. So it was so profound, so vivid, so real. Chris had some memories too, that I fell more in love with him than I already am as my soulmate, which I didn't think was possible. And when I look at him and see and feel the bond we had as Mayan brothers in that life, it is deeper than any love I've ever experienced. So it's so profound. I start crying. And later we went to that temple. We didn't know. I felt drawn to it actually the first time I was there before Chris ever came with, and illegally climbed it. I was with a friend, and I told her, I have to go up there. I have to go up there. I don't know what to do. I have to go to the top of that, but there's a rope. And she says, let's do it. We waited till nobody was around, and we went under the rope. We climbed up. We sat at the top of the temple behind that faced the jungle, so no one could see us. We lit candles. We put out our crystals. We did a whole ceremony and a ritual and a meditation and everything. And then when we came out, there was a group with a guide that were all facing the pyramid or the temple. So we had to go down the back like Indiana Jones. So I'm not telling you to do that, but, and later I realized why. I came after, then I had that experience of knowing that I had a past life with him. Then we came back again, and I looked at that temple, and we went back over there, felt drawn to it, and was looking around, and all of a sudden I saw the wall that was the wall we would go up to move the bricks, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Then I started bringing my retreat people to this site, and it's a huge site. So the fact that we all ended up randomly, separately, after the activation on the pyramid at that particular temple, and then we all had a memory of a past life there together in a school. And then we shared later at lunch, and then the next group had the same memory as well. So past life memories are quite profound, because you're going to be drawn to other people. Like clearly everybody on both of those retreats was drawn back together to complete or reactivate or remember certain things in their life now that they needed those skills for. So that's what I mean when I say you come on a retreat or you go somewhere, you are taking your key codes. You carry codes of energy in you in every level, and you interact with the environment energetically at every level, and things in your environment are drawing energy from you, sending energy to you, poisoning you, uplifting you, or ignoring you, right? Depending on the energy that's happening. So when you go to sacred sites with a lot of history, when you travel through Europe, when you go anywhere you go, nature or where there's history, there's going to be energies that you bring that are needed there, energies you need from there, and other forms of interaction. So, okay, good. I love this topic. We've got to stop. No, we've got to stop. Okay, let's just see what we can get here. Oh, thank you. All right. This is from Egypt. This is my little Isis. I brought back many things from Egypt that hold the energy very beautifully. And thank you. So Isis is very important in my life. Egyptian lives, ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Atlantean, Celtic, and there's other. This is a really primary one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She wants me to put the, okay, I feel this is rude. Wants me to put my hand over her face and have the snake on her head right here in the center of my palm. So you want to trust that kind of intuition, right? I'm like, saw her, she rarely wants to be held. Okay, I'm holding her now. It's moving in my hand, moving to, so she can channel the energy in the way that she wants, and your palm portals bring in energy and send out energy. Lenore, Sherry, Christine. Sherry, we did Sherry. Okay. This one's Distine. Got it, yeah. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Distine, we're being very strongly drawn into a very narrow passageway. It's clearly underground. It's made from stone. It's extremely narrow. It feels like it's narrowing as we're walking. There's a feeling around the back of the crown of my head that feels like there's been a gash or some kind of thing that's been hurt. And it has the sense of running, of desperation, of breathing heavy, of running away from something through a passageway that seems to keep narrowing, almost to where you have to move and move through sideways, trying to move really fast. It's like an older man with a beard, a gray beard. He's got a robe on, like some kind of a, not a robe like for like a Robin Hood, kind of robe, brown, with a tie around the waist. And he does have a gash at the back of his head right here on the right side. He keeps turning around and looking. He's trying to get down into the world of the Alush, into the nature spirit world. This seems to be a very strange entrance, but he seems to know how to connect to or talk to the gnomes. So he's trying to get down, but the entrance keeps trying to close. He's not really fazed by it. However, it seems like that the earth spirit world isn't quite like, yeah, run, come in. Whether it's intentional or not, I can't tell. So there's a lot of despair. He's just exuding this despair, this hopelessness. He keeps struggling. He keeps looking backwards. He's stuck in this moment. So it's almost like it loops. It starts over like a GIF, and you start running down this path, looking backwards, so on and so forth. So there's some deep, deep sadness, and this is where this sadness is from. It can hold sadness from other lives, but it's really deep. So they're showing me that this life, you lived near woods that were very magical, that you were very in tune with the nature spirits, that you would go in and out of the forest, big, big, big forests. And there was one particular nature spirit that looks like a giant root of a tree that then sort of starts talking, has a face, looks like a wise sage person. And the tree is enormous, and the one side of it is like a little bit of a hill, and the roots jut out, and it forms this being, and you go and sit and talk, and it's normal for your whole life. You even had a childhood with this, as something happened where clearly you were an old man, so you had spent your whole life talking to the forest, and at some time later in your life, people came in that were trying to hurt magical beings, trying to steal power from these things, or trying to erase and eliminate it. It's like a Christian thing. It's like a Spanish Inquisition, or in medieval England, they started to be like, oh, if you're accused of doing magic or talking to fairies or whatever, you were considered evil. They didn't want anyone having power. They didn't want anyone having direct contact. And especially if you were wise, especially if you were somebody who was really wise, that really knew what you were doing, you were not going to be easy to conquer or control. So they followed you in the woods, and they slaughtered this tree. They slaughtered the roots. They slaughtered the spirit. And you ran, and the grief that you're holding is so intense. It's so intense. It is like the sadness of your whole life. This has been your friend and your guardian from a child, through everything you've been through in life, and here you are, an old man, and you feel the despair of the loss of the magic in the world and in the earth and in the 3D of this being, and that you caused it. Thank you. There's medicine. What's the medicine? Where's the medicine? So this life is stuck in a loop, and this is why you're feeling it, and it keeps coming up, or it's stuck, or however you're perceiving it, and not looking at us. This isn't in this moment, the healing isn't, let's sit down, let's talk, tell me about it, or come to the fire, throw in your pain, let's dissolve it and move forward. Oblivious to you, oblivious of anything, just consumed with the grief and the sadness. So I keep seeing citrine, and citrine wants to help you clear this. You hold citrine, if you lay down, put it on your third eye, especially holding it in your palms like this, allowing it to clear you and bring clarity. Clear and clarity. This is very important because the state, of course, of despair and hopelessness is very low. It's very difficult to get life force, to create, to feel happy, to do the things you're here to do. And this is something that needs to be released, because the other impact of this life is the repetitiveness of re-experiencing the pain, running and being stuck, being afraid and running and being stuck, because you were both afraid for your own life, horrified by what you saw, full of grief of the realization of what it was, and you couldn't get into the known world. You weren't able to get in, and you didn't know why. So it's like being stuck in being shunned, being outcast. There's some outcast energy here. Being outcast, being separated from what you love, from magic, from power, and all the grief on the other side. We ask for the power and the love and the clarity of citrine, the gold ray, and the sun now, still from the solstice, holding so much power to move through Destine and any and all of us and those who are here ready for this cleansing and clearing, that this grief, despair, and hopelessness be freed, released, transformed into wisdom, love, compassion, and power in this life and others. That the pattern of repeating this and carrying this, holding guilt, responsibility, feeling responsible, be softened and clarified, so that the beauty, the medicine, and the reconnection to this beautiful spirit who is waiting to be there for you, with you, to play and create again in a whole new way, can reunite. And so it is. Thank you. All right, my loves. I love this, and I apologize, but I must go. I have beautiful little kitties, and I have a beautiful lady coming over who's going to take care of my little kitties any minute now while we go to the retreat for a week. And I'm very sad, but very excited. And I would love to do some more work for you. So Lisa and Lenore and anyone else, please come back. Come to the Intuition Awakening Summer Camp, please, because then when we're in a group, I'm able to give you feedback. When you share, I'll tell you what I read or see. Other people will tell you. That's part of the power of the class as well. So, and let's all, ooh, this is so good. Let's all, there's so much delight within me. Thank you. So I appreciate all of the guides and all of the energies, all of the spirits and all of these other lives, all of these spiritual mentors of ours that did come to surround us today, to remind us, to send us little messages, pass us notes, and to those lives within us that we are connected to, that our destiny lies with. We open our hearts and minds, as is optimal, to see, to remember, to reconnect, to release, to heal, and then to move forward. May we all be free. May we all remember who we are, and that we are always drawn forward on our path by what is optimal at this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May the circle be open, yet unbroken, and the love and the beauty of this moment, the clarity of the citrine. We give thanks to the beautiful turquoise, to the dolphins, and all the guides, and to the fairies. Namaste. Oh, the fairies want to talk again. I want to just remind you, if you came on later, we had this incredible little fairy guide come in. And it says the domestic dragon. And look at how cute that little domestic dragon is. And it's about helping you with communication with other species, animal familiars, and animal guardians. So I'm going to pull one more now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This says, the Grail fairy, the fairy of the Grail. Fertility, past life regression, health, and vital cycles. It's nice too, because we have a waxing moon, right? We're going out of the new moon towards the full moon next week, which is what she has here. Beautiful. I like how she wears her wings. Okay, everybody, namaste. And remember, we have an all-new one on Monday. So Monday, I'm going to do readings for you, okay? We're going to call in and get all the messages from all the magical mentors and get our medicine, and we're going to play the whole time with readings just for you, okay? Thank you, everybody.